What up, fam? It's your boy, Boy 2024, streaming to you live. Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want this to be a thing where I start every video putting Slenderman 2024 on full blast. I don't want to, be hating on him every video. I'm trying, guys. People keep sending me these videos in the chat. Okay, look, I'm trying to be nice, sir. All right, I said I'm trying to be nicer to him. Okay, but people are sending me these videos, and what situation we're in. This reminds me so much of I was just watching this the other day. You guys remember the Friends episode where Chandler, I think he like lost a bet or something, but Chandler had to spend a whole day being nice to Ross. Like he wasn't like allowed to say a single mean thing about Ross. He had to be nice to him the whole day. And of course Ross walks into like the living room wearing these like new leather pants. And it's clearly like killing Chandler. He just can't do it. He can't be nice to Ross. He has to say something. So he's just like, "Oh, hey guys, look, Ross is wearing leather pants," and then like everyone's like, "Yeah, he is." And Ross is like, "You have anything else to say?" And he's like, "No, I just wanted to point out that he's wearing leather pants. Someone want to say something? So, for the love of God, somebody comment on the pants." That's where I'm at right now. I have to be nice. I'm just gonna report on the objective facts. Okay. So Slenderman 2024, he's posting these videos, these like 1 minute videos. I'm so confused. I don't know what these are. Where like he's playing this like 10-year-old Power Rangers mobile game that nobody plays anymore. And I saw that and I clicked and I was like, oh, is it like a Let's Play? As like he's like giving commentary or like a voiceover? And no, it's just gameplay. It's just like a minute of footage of gameplay, apropos of nothing. Good video. Good video there. That's a good video. What else did I see? He did a 1 or 2 or 3 videos where he has like this add-on application. He has like an extender for his rear view mirror or something. So he's like inside the car and he's like putting the new rear view mirror on his car. That's a good one. That's a good video. Keep it up. That's good. Someone comment on the video. For the love of God, someone comment on that video. Oh my God. Okay, let's continue. Let's move on. This is just like a little extension, a little addendum to the Valentine's Day stream. I wanted to fit this review into like the original Valentine's Day stream, but like that went on for so long. I got so drunk and like off topic, and like I just never got around to talking about, because I was talking about The Host, and like that's a shitty romance movie and I thought it'd be funny to talk about on Valentine's Day. But this movie just came out on Valentine's Day. And I saw it, by the way. I saw it in theaters on Valentine's Day, and that was an experience. But yeah, I saw Wuthering Heights. That it's like I'm admitting to a crime. Like yes, I pulled the fire alarm, just like Curly. I pulled the fire alarm. I saw Wuthering Heights. I did it. It was me. Okay, I was in the theater that Saturday night. Yeah, so, okay, before we go into that, I need to talk about the director, Emerald Fennell. Is that her real, Emerald, is that her real name? What a pretentious-ass name. Like, someone look that up. Is that, like, her God-given birth name? Emerald? Really? Like, of course, yeah, people in chat are saying that's her real name, Emerald Fennell. Okay. I mean, when you have a pretentious name like that, like Emerald, of course she's going to make films such as these. It was destined, it was foretold. She has made a total of 3 films so far. I'm getting a pretty good sense of her directing style. So like I walked into that theater kind of knowing what I was getting, but like everyone else, they were, my theater was not was not prepared for the film that we saw. I knew exactly what I was getting into because I've seen Saltburn, bitch. Okay, I'm Saltburn strong. Okay, I know what I'm in for with Emerald Fennell. But a lot of like wine moms, like a lot of like 40-year-old moms, like drag their husbands. Like it's just, a lot of people thought this was like a good date movie. Here's my public PSA. I mean, I just wanted to kind of make a review to shit on this movie because I hated it. But this is my PSA. Do not go see this movie for Valentine's Day or any occasion really, but especially don't go see this movie for like a date. I mean, you know your partner better than I do, so like, but like, you gotta. it's a very specific case. Like you really got to know, like, if your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend, like what they like, or like what kind of sense of humor they have, because this is not your typical date movie. Okay, a lot of wine moms, they went into this thinking it was to be like The Notebook, or the Walk to Remember. I'm like, no, this is more like 50 Shades of Grey, except darker, like as messed up as 50 Shades of Grey should have been, that type of thing. This is not a good date movie. I mean, I'll go into it in my review. You can tell me what you think. Tell me if you think this is a good date movie after you learn more about this movie. But yeah, Emerald Fennell, she's made 3 movies so far. She made Promising Young Woman in 2020. I saw that, regrettably. I did not like that movie. A lot of people did. It has very, very high score on Rotten Tomatoes, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, very high audience score. I think I know why. I think the audience score, at least I can explain. Those are all dummy accounts. Those are all Smurf accounts created by Emerald Fennell to promote herself. There's one thing I would have liked about Promising Young Woman, because one of my favorite actors, Adam Brody's in that movie, and he's in, like, I think one of the first scenes. So he's like the first date that she goes on in like a string of these dates. And so, like, I only know about this because of the trailer. He's in the trailer. But I was late to the theater. I was late to seeing the movie. I missed, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie. So I didn't get to see fucking Adam Brody. So, like, I was already pissed off. I missed the one part of the movie I would have cared about. I don't know why I saw this movie. I hated this movie. Yeah, I mean, that's worth a whole review in itself. All I'm gonna say is Emerald Fennell, she is a card-carrying feminist, and if you're a card-carrying feminist, then you might like this movie. I myself am not. I don't believe that all men are evil, and if you believe that maybe some men are evil, but maybe some aren't, or maybe there's some good ones, you're not gonna really like this one. Because without saying too much, yeah, there's a message. There's a message that she's trying to push forward in this movie. And it's that, all men are basically scumbags. Even the ones like Bo Burnham that seem good at first, they're always bad, okay? There's no exception. They're always bad, okay? And you will get to that conclusion by the end of the film. And I was miserable. It's a miserable, depressing time. It's a really uncomfortable movie, intentionally so. I understand what she's doing. I'm just saying it wasn't a very good viewing experience for, well, me or anyone in the theater. Actually, that's the one thing that all 3 Emerald Fennell movies have in common. I saw all these in the theater. It was always like an experience, because the audience is always visibly, like, kind of shifting in their seats. They're always very uncomfortable with a lot of the scenes. That's like the one thing that all these movies have in common. They're so radically different, though. I will give her that. All of her movies are radically different, but she has a very good directing style. She has very beautiful cinematography. The colors, the saturated colors, the camera work in her movies is flawless. Like, her movies look very, very good. I will say that. And let me move on to. So I didn't like Promising Young Woman, but what's interesting to me is so as far as reviews, right? So Promising Young Woman, 90%. Like, everyone loved it, or critics loved it. Saltburn, her second movie. Critic reviews went down towards like the 70% or so. And then with Wuthering Heights, it's actually lower. She's doing. You could say Emerald Fennell fell off. She fell off after what did I just say? Sabrina Spellman, Spellbound, Saltburn. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Saltburn. Wuthering Heights, I mean, just came out, but it's resting at like a low 60, like 60%. It's barely fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, I think it just dipped to 59%. Like, it's not getting good reviews. It's not, and I know why. I agree. Out of the trilogy, out of the Emerald now we're calling this the Emerald Fennell trilogy. Which did I like the most? Maybe Saltburn. Although Saltburn is her most disturbing movie. It's a very disturbing movie. It's basically a thriller. But it stars Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, who returns in this movie. They have a very fucked up relationship. It's all about obsessive compulsive love, which is also kind of what this movie's about. It has some very infamous scenes. I mean, there's the bathtub scene, there's the vampire scene. I'm not going to say more. You either heard of these scenes, or you can quickly Google them and find the clips on YouTube. It's a very shocking movie. Like, I mean, that doesn't make it a good movie in my opinion, but it's her most memorable movie. I'll say that. It's a very memorable. I will never forget this movie because it's so disturbing. And it has like I said, it's a very gorgeous looking movie. It has very nice landscapes, very nice cinematography, colors. And I'll say that about Wuthering Heights too. Like, this movie is a very gorgeously shot movie. Very nice landscape shots, very nice costumes, sets, etc. Based on a very, very old book by is it Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, one of the Bronte. My friend always calls them the Brontosaurus sisters. Yeah, I mean, I've read some of the classics, but I always kind of skipped over Wuthering Heights. I don't know too much about the book, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that Emerald Fennell doesn't either. I'm pretty sure she took some very liberal, some very she was very liberal in her adaptation of this book, because I'm pretty sure there weren't any BDSM scenes. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff in this movie that didn't make it into the book, or vice versa. I mean, I get it. She's like, I gotta, because Wuthering Heights is really fucking boring, and so is this movie. I mean, you can only do so much. If the story's boring, the story's boring, and that's honestly where I'm coming down with shocking scenes aside, and we'll get to the shocking scenes. Like, this is just, I'm sorry, I know it's a literary classic, blah, 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 but, like, it's a boring story. It's a romance, sure, but it's like, it doesn't have any likable characters. I don't like any of these characters. I don't care if they end up together or not. It's one of those stories where everyone's pretty selfish and awful and kind of a monster, and the end. And I just don't really care about what happens. I don't. And it's too long. Why is I was like going through my AMC app and like looking at, I mean, I obviously settled on Wuthering Heights, but like every movie is like 2.5 hours now. I was like, oh my God, because I want to fit in like 2 movies in one night. I can't do it anymore. Like, Marty Supreme's like 2.5 hours. Like, I can't do it. I can't. If I see that movie, it's just that movie that night. And same thing with Wuthering Heights. Is like, yeah, I can't see another movie. It's like 2.5 hours. Like, fuck this movie. I'm sure the book was long. I don't know what she cut out or changed. I mean, I have a pretty good idea of a couple things she added to it, but but yeah, we're in like whatever, like the 1700s or whatever, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if this was a good idea. Like, I don't know if you can modernize Wuthering Heights. I don't know if you can make this a movie that is appealing to modern audiences. I really don't. She tried, and I get it. It's like a love story, and the trailer was like saying, experience the greatest love story ever told. I'm like, oh, Romeo and Juliet. Oh, and there is a character reading Romeo and Juliet in the movie, so like they do pay tribute to the actual greatest love story. But anyway, but yeah, I don't know how many people say that. Do people say that Wuthering Heights is the greatest love story ever told? Because that was in quotation marks, and I think they should have added a few more quotation marks, because I'd be very interested to know who said that. But yeah, it's a romance story, and they're releasing it on Valentine's Day, so they're trying to get people to go see it. I don't know how well it's doing box office wise. My theater was like pretty empty, or like half empty, and like the people that were there, like I said, they were kind of regretting it. They were kind of like uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure at least one woman left. I'm pretty sure one of the wine moms, she got up and she's like, oh heavens to Betsy, I can't handle this. And like, yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but it gets pretty intense. It gets pretty raunchy. It gets pretty. This is not a movie to say take your mom to, or take grandma to. Oh, do not take grandma. Do not take grandma to see this movie. She might have a heart attack. She might not make it to the end of the movie. Yeah, I don't know. Can you modernize this? Can you make? And that's why she cast these 2 very attractive actors. You have Jacob Elordi from Euphoria. A lot of people really like him. He's the handsome man. And then you have Margot Robbie, one of the hottest actresses right now. I mean that, like, popularity wise, but also, she's very, very attractive. And don't get me wrong. Even though this was filmed, directed by a woman and directed by a card-carrying feminist, there's a lot of scenes of Margot Robbie wearing those dresses with the plunging neckline, the plunging cleavage, and like, so, this movie's for a female audience, but husbands, dads, like, yeah, you might want to show up. You might want to show up for this. You might want to show up for this one. And then she sprinkles in like modern music. I know, like, for example, the Baz Luhrmann Great Gatsby, which actually I like that adaptation. I like that movie. But that was almost a similar type of thing where it was more style over substance, and it was like taking a classic book and like trying to modernize it. Like Baz Luhrmann, he threw in a lot of like modern music, like hip hop and stuff, and people reacted very negatively to that at the time. I remember that. I don't know how people are reacting to this, but it's a very similar thing. Like she threw in a lot of like modern like pop music and stuff. Like I don't know any modern artists, but like the trailer was like boasting they got like this one artist artists like Charlie XCK or something, some person that like the 20-somethings know. I don't know any of these people, but like some big artist that's working right now. She did the soundtrack for the movie, and so her music, I mean, it feels pretty out of place. Again, this is like kind of a gothic drama, gothic romance, and like hearing pop music, it is always a little bit like, okay, I don't know about that, but she's doing that to try and get the young people to go see her movie, and that's why she's cast the guy from Euphoria. That's why she cast Harley Quinn. Yeah, and that's why she threw in. I mean, I'm sure in the book there's like implied romance or implied love scenes, but like, I mean, this never goes as far as like Saltburn. So if you see this movie and you're like, oh, I want more fucked up love scenes, go see Saltburn. Go see Saltburn. Saltburn exists, and it even has Jacob Elordi. So if you want to see him naked again, if you want to see his ass again, you can see Saltburn. You can see him hook up with a dude. Anyway, yes. Wuthering Heights. So we are in the 1700s, and this spoiled little bitch, Cathy, she's growing up in the estate. The estate that the title comes from is called Wuthering Heights. Her father adopts this boy, and who doesn't have a name. Actually, that's what's funny. They adopt this boy because his father was like abusive or whatever, which we'll come to see that his new father really isn't too much better. So I do kind of wonder if Heathclif should have just stayed with his original father. Anyway, yeah, Cathy's father adopts this boy, and it's all very strange the way he says it. He's like, because he sees the OG father kicking the boy in the street, and he says, you shouldn't treat the boy like that. And then the father says, well, if you care so much, you take him. And he's like, maybe I will. And then he goes home with him. So, and that's the end of that. So, okay, now we have a new mouth to feed, even though we're already impoverished. Yeah, that's really it. But, yeah, so he like, it's a really weird scene. He like gives the boy to Cathy, like as if he were like a present. He's like, oh, here you are. Here's a child. You know, here's a boy, and this boy shall be your pet. He specifically says that. He says this boy will be your pet. And Cathy is just like overjoyed. You know, she again acts like she just got like a dog for Christmas. And nobody asks him his name, by the way. Like, they just kind of give him a name. I'm like, I'm sure he had a name, right? Like, the father wasn't just calling him boy all the time, was he? Was he Kratos? Boy? But yeah, Cathy's like, oh, well, we'll name him Heathclif after my dead brother. And that's as much like thought that goes into it. Like, he doesn't protest. No one else says anything. So I guess he's just Heathclif now. By the way, that always stuck out to me as like a pretty big detail. I'm like, oh, so we never saw him, but Cathy had a brother named Heathclif, and he died. Is there more to that story? Oh, no, we're just moving on, and we'll just never bring that up again. Does Cathy have a mom? I guess she's dead too. Like, that's never really... Oh, okay, we're just moving on with the story. Okay. But yeah, he's Heathclif now, and because he's named after her brother, she sees him as a brother slash pet. That's interesting. And that will come back. The whole pet slash dog imagery will come back. Very interesting. Oh, I forgot a very important detail. Let's rewind to the very first scene, the very first image. So this movie begins with a hanging. Oh, this is gonna be a recurring gag in the review. So I'm gonna ask for a show of hands. Who still thinks this would be a good date movie for your wife and you? Okay, so we're going to start with a hanging, and when the body, and just so you know, there's something called a death erection. Emerald Fennel really wants you to know about this. So when the corpse dies, when the body dies, well, it releases the bowels, and also with men, you know, you get an erection, a death erection, and so the camera zooms in on the guy's erection. So anyone, this is the first scene, this is the first thing your wife will see. Do you still want to take her to this date movie? You sure you don't want to do The Notebook or maybe another Nicholas Sparks movie? No, you want to do Wuthering Heights? You sure? Hell, even 50 Shades of Grey is tamer compared to this. It really is. You want to take her to 50 Shades? Maybe they're re-releasing Twilight again. You want to take her to see that? No. Wuthering Heights? Okay. You're going to be in for the doghouse later, but that's okay. So yeah, they zoom in on the guy's death erection, and all the kids. This is like a public hanging. Again, this is the 1700s. I don't know much. Maybe this was like the thing to do back in the day. People would just kind of gather around and watch the criminal get hanged. But all of the kids are there, and they're like into it. They're like cheering, they're like, you know, pointing at the erection and jumping up and down and like laughing. And so Cathy's there with her I don't know what she is, but yeah, there's another character named Nelly. So Nelly's there, Cathy's there, and they're both there when they're children, and they see it, and they're having a good time too. And then people in the crowd get weirdly turned on by it, and they start making out, and like, so that is the first scene of Wuthering Heights. Anyone still want to see this as a date movie? Okay. So yeah, that's just, I mean, honestly, that sets the tone for the movie. We're all really like uncomfortable already, and like Emerald Fennell's like, yeah, here we go. It's gonna be another 2 hours of this, buddy. Another 2.5 hours of this, buddy. So then Cathy goes home. Yeah, like I said, when she goes home, she has a new brother slash pet, and I'll say, well, yeah, I'll get to Nelly in a second. I need to, I mean, like, I really mean it when, like, everyone in this movie's pretty reprehensible. They're pretty horrible. Cathy's pretty bad. Cathy, like, again, don't get me wrong. I love Margot Robbie. She's a great actress. But her character was really, really terrible. I really didn't like her at all. I found her very annoying, very insufferable. Especially when she was little. I mean, you kind of get a pass when you're a kid. Like, a little bit of a pass. But she's like this little blonde bitch. She's spoiled. She gets whatever she wants. She's always complaining, always crying. And she really reminded me of Angelica from Rugrats. Maybe because of the blonde pigtails, I don't know. But yeah, she's just like crying. She's like crying all the time, and it's even like a thing with her because her dad comes into the room and he's like, well, what are you crying about this time? You know, and she's like, I couldn't get a pony or whatever. I don't even remember what she was complaining about. She's just complaining all the time with Cathy. Nothing's ever good enough for Cathy. Oh, we'll come back to that. With Cathy. Nothing's ever good enough for Cathy. But like Nelly's there. I don't know what Nelly's like her. I mean, she's like the same age, but Nelly's like her babysitter or her nurse or her mom or her surrogate mom or something. But like everyone treats Nelly like shit. I'm gonna talk about that now. I mean, Nelly was probably my favorite character. I felt really bad for her. If you watch, I might be getting the name wrong, but she's like the Asian girl that's always with Margot Robbie. So to give you a frame of reference. Everyone always treats Nelly like shit, and like all the time, always, and like it's really insufferable. That's another thing, like, 'cause she's the only one I kind of liked. But the dad comes in, right, and like, you know, Margot Robbie slash Cathy's, well, child Margot Robbie, they're children right now. She's throwing a fit, and then the dad's like, oh, you know, he turns to Nelly. She's like, you know, you're supposed to be keeping her in line. You're supposed to make sure she doesn't act like this, and she kind of gives him this look like, you know, like, what the fuck do you want from me? Like, you know, she's like her like math tutor or whatever, or like teaches her manners, but like. You know, like what do you want? Like, you want her to wave a magic wand? Like, Nelly can only do so much. Like, Margot Robbie's a pretty terrible, you know, person. she's Angelica from Rugrats is what she is. But yeah, he like storms out. He's like, you know, you should be keeping her in line, Nelly. Like, God damn it. And I'm like, okay. The dad's pretty bad. Like, even though he took in Heathclif out of the kindness of his heart, he's a pretty bad, you know, what happened? So Heathclif and Cathy were late to his birthday party or something. They got caught in the rain, and Heathclif is like, he does his due diligence. Like, he's the one saying, like, you know, we really need to get back. And she's like, no, I'm gonna get wet. Like, no, let's just wait for the rain to stop. It'll stop any minute. And it's not a big deal if we're late. And he listens to her like a dumbass. And it turns out that it's her father's birthday party, so they're like hours late. And he's freaking out. And he's basically gonna beat Cathy. And Heathclif is like, oh, I'll take the blame. Like, you know, it was me. Which is not the truth. You know, he wanted to go back. It's her fucking fault. She should take the lashes, in my opinion. Anyway, but yeah, Heathclif is like, no, like, give me the lashes. It's my fault. I held her back. Blah blah blah. And he's like, okay. And so he like gets out the belt, and like, I mean, dude, I mean, again, this is 1700s. I don't know how things were done back then, but like, you ever heard of spanking? Like, like, could you just give him a spanking? Like, not, he like whips him, like he has like scars on his back for the rest of his life from that shit. And like, and Cathy's just like, oh my God, Heathclif, you know, you took those for me, you know, those were meant for me. And he's like, I will never leave your side. I would take 100 more lashes to protect you, Cathy. Blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, you're such a good pet. It's just, you know, she's like, you know, brother zoning him or pet zoning him. She definitely cares for him or cares about him, but he's in that weird, like, again, I guess she kind of thinks of him more of a brother type of thing, but she is like obsessed with him. She always needs him like in her life, in her orbit. Yeah, she's really the worst. She's really the worst. I couldn't get over how much I hated Cathy. Like, maybe I could have forgiven this movie's other faults if I found Cathy a likable character, but so much of it revolves around her and her happiness, her search for happiness. And I'm like, I don't really care, because it's pretty clear that she's one of those people like a Carmela from The Sopranos. Remember how Carmela was like just never happy no matter what happened? Like, no matter, like, you know, even when she got her divorce from Tony, she's like, oh no, I want him back now. I was like, oh, okay, like, what do you want? Like, seriously. But yeah, no, Margot Robbie, she's just never happy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, she'll never be happy. She can never get what she wants, because she wants everything. She wants the world. But yeah, her dad's pretty bad. He abuses the shit out of Heathclif. He has really bad drinking and gambling problems, and that's the reason why Wuthering Heights, which was once a nice regal estate, it falls into poverty. They basically become broke. They're paupers at this point, and Margot Robbie's freaking out. Not so much that like they're broke and that like they can't afford like a roof or food. It's more like she's all about like the status. She's always like, what will the neighbors say of us? She's one of those people. She's like, what will the neighbors say of us? Like, I can't. That's like her reason why she can't marry Heathcliff, even though she loves him. And she's like, well, what would the neighbors think? Like, he's a stable boy. He's a servant. I can't marry him. I need to marry someone important and rich because that's the only thing that would befit my greatness or my grace or whatever. I'm like, yeah, lady, you need to like fall off a cliff. Like, I'm over you. I'm so over you. There's a part where she's like on this cliff ledge, like whatever, looking over like the scenery, and I'm like, just push her off, Heathcliff. Just push her off. Do us all a fucking favor. Um, um. So yeah, her dad's a scumbag. Nelly, you know what? Like I said, Nelly's the only likable character. There's a really great moment. Again, when they're children. There's like I forgot about this. There's like random servants that are just taking the piss out of Nelly too. They're just like talking shit for no reason. She's like giving Margot Robbie a lesson or something, and this other servant comes up to her, and Nelly's like sipping her teacup, right? And the servant's like, oh, just don't get too big for your britches, or just because the master pays you to be her friend, like you're no better than us. You're just some illegitimate Asian baby, that some bastard that was put off on this family that some other lord wanted to hide from his wife. And Nelly's just like sipping her tea. She doesn't like freak out. She's just sipping her tea, and then she like intentionally drops the cup, and she's like, "Oh, could you clean up that mess, by the way?" And the other girl has to do it. She gives her this look, but she has to do it. She's the cleaning lady that day. I'm like, "Oh, Nelly, go, yas queen, slay queen, yas, Nelly, yas." I like Nelly. Nelly gets like screwed over by everybody in this movie, though. We'll get back to that. What else happens? So So then we kind of flash forward when they're adults. I'll say this much. I do like these type of stories where like they've known each other their whole lives. You know what I mean? Like they grew up together as kids, and now they're adults, and they still love each other. Like that lends more credence to the whole, oh, we're destined or to be together, or like we're bonded, or you're the love of my life. It's something like Romeo and Juliet, which the movie brings up, by the way. But like, yeah, I don't really care for those stories most of the time where it's like, oh, we met each other yesterday and now we're in love, or now we're getting married like 2 weeks later or a month later. It's like, no, to be fair, Heathcliff and Cathy grew up together. They've known each other their whole lives, so it lends a little more to that. But again, I just don't find either of them very likable. I don't really care if they end up together or not. But yeah, Cathy. Okay, well, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. There's a very this gets kind of messed up. This actually is an important plot point. I swear, I'm not just like saying this to be dirty. But there's a scene that happens where Cathy, she's just like, I don't know, wandering the grounds late at night, and she goes to the horse stable. And actually, she like climbs up onto the roof and is like peeking in through the horse stable. And two of the servants, like this guy and this girl, they wander in, and they're fooling around. They're shacking up behind everyone's backs, right? But they're both into like BDSM, and they go to like the horse stables, and he like ties like the horse saddle to her, and he like puts like the stirrups on her, and he like binds her hands and like puts a blindfold over her, and like ties the thing over her mouth, and like it's like this whole thing. It's like literally it's like a 50 Shades of Grey scene. By the way, like anyone still want to see this as a date movie. I mean, 50 Shades of Grey was kind of a date movie. Like I don't know, this gets pretty wrong. It depends on the couple. It depends on like your wife's preferences or whatever. But like I could see like again, a lot of women were kind of off put by that. They're like, oh, this is taking a turn. Yeah, no, this is a very R-rated movie. This don't get this ain't no Hollywood romance movie. This is getting kind of raunchy. So just be prepared. But and again, we're bringing back kind of like the BDSM, the pet thing. He's treating her like a horse, right? And so Margot Robbie is like spying on them from the roof, and they start to like really go crazy, and she starts to like kind of gasp or make sounds because she's kind of getting turned on. And Jacob Elordi, like he like in Harry Potter they apparate. He like apparates behind her, and he's like on top of her, and he like covers her eyes with one hand and covers her mouth with the other hand, because he doesn't want her to see this like this blasphemy or whatever, this perversion. But she's like clearly into it. And I mentioned this scene. It's an important scene because much later in the movie, I'm going to bring this up now. This is one of the few things. This is one of the few details that I actually really liked because it was subtle. Margot Robbie, spoilers, she marries someone else. She marries this rich lord, Mr. Linton, something like that. And she's like in a very loveless marriage. But like, there's a montage of like, sex scenes with him because he wants to have an heir, that type of thing. And she's like not into it. She's just kind of laying there. And the one time that she's like into it, he's like all of a sudden like on top of her, covering her eyes, covering her mouth, just like Jacob Elordi did. And that's like the one time you hear that she's like really into it too. And that was like a nice little subtle callback. I actually really like that little sequence, that little detail. So I did like some parts of this movie. I'm not gonna completely shit on it. I'm not gonna say don't see it, but just know what you're getting into. And I don't think it's like a good movie. I think it's a very flawed movie, and that's why it's getting such a very mixed reception from people. I don't think this movie even knew what it wanted to be, because again they're taking a book from the 1700s and trying to make it a sexy, raunchy romance movie for like modern audiences, and it really doesn't quite work. It really doesn't quite work. And again, with the whole covering the eyes and mouth, like that's a BDSM thing, covering the eyes, covering the mouth, and cutting off the senses. So like that was a nice little callback to that as well. Again, like I'm pretty sure none of that shit's in the book, but like Emerald Fennell did a very good job of like sprinkling in. She imagine like little BDSM sprinkles. She's like, oh, a little dab here, a little dab here, a little dab here. She's putting the pieces into place. But yeah, and those two characters actually do come back later. And I'll get to this right now. So like Margot Robbie has like this big decision to make, and God forbid a woman has to make a big decision because that's like their worst nightmare. But yeah, she has to decide who to marry, right? And I mean, woe is her, right? She's stuck between marrying the handsome poor man, the handsome poor stable boy who has been with her whole life and would die to protect her. Poor Heathclif, but he's poor. And then Mr. Linton is rich, so who should I pick? And so I think where this is going. Like this movie, I mean, not just because it's a book from the 1700s, but like it's a very predictable movie. It really is. Like you're not going to be shocked by too many plot twists in this movie. Well, anyway, she chooses Mr. Linton. And but what's funny is when she goes back to the house years later, she runs into the male servant from that earlier scene, and she like asks him like how he is, blah blah blah, and she's like, oh, like are you still with that woman? And he's like, oh heavens no, that was just an affair, like that was just a little midnight tryst, like she has a husband and she's having a baby with him now, like I'm just a stable boy, she could never marry me, like what would the neighbors think? And she's like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, we just had our like one little fling, and she's like, oh, maybe I should have done that. I'm like, yeah, you stupid bitch, like you should have just done that, like why didn't you just do that, like you wouldn't have ruined so many lives. This whole movie would be different. But I like that little detail. I don't know if those characters were in the book or if Emerald Fennell inserted them, but like they were nice little parallels for like a an alternate path that Margot Robbie could have taken with that similar character. I really like that. So some of these little details I really liked. I'll say that. Overall, I didn't like the story and I didn't like the characters, but like there's some things that I liked in the movie. I'll try and wrap this up. I'm already at a half an hour, so I'll try and wrap this up. I mean, the movie was 2.5 hours. Give me a break. Give me a break. But yeah. So there's a very, very important scene here where Margot Robbie has to decide between Jacob Elordi and the Lord Mr. Linton. Oh, let me talk about this. Is funny. Let me talk about this real quick. So Margot Robbie is spying on the new neighbors, the new rich neighbors, the Lindens or whatever, and she's already like decided that like she wants him to marry her. And this is her character. This is why like I find her so annoying and insufferable. As soon as like they arrive, she's like sitting in the house and she's like, well, like, of course he's going to marry me because like I'm the most desirable woman in this town. And she's like, why hasn't Mr. Linden called yet? And like no, and she keeps on like checking. She's like, what's her name? Nelly has he come by? Has he dropped any letters? I'm expecting a letter from him any day now. And she's like, no letters yet. And she's just sitting there for like 2 months and nothing's happening. And and I'm like, he probably doesn't even know you exist. And then she's like, well, should I go over there and like introduce myself? I should probably do that. He's probably waiting for me to come over and introduce myself. And Nelly's like, you definitely shouldn't do that. You definitely shouldn't do that because remember the time period. You're not a woman doesn't make the first move. It's very taboo. It's very no. Even though she like wants him to make him, it's one of those dumb things where like you have to like wait for him to come to you. I mean, that's not so different. We haven't advanced that far from the 1700s. I remember in like what was it, the first Twilight movie? There's the whole thing with the dance where like Bella is like waiting, like it's a weird thing where like she has to wait for someone to ask her to the dance, even though she like clearly wants someone to ask her, a particular person to ask her, but like you can't do the like that's improper, or it's like nothing's changed in like hundreds of years. Fuck it. Anyway. But yeah, he's not coming, and she's like, well, I should go over there, and I was like, no, you shouldn't, like, that's very improper. So of course she goes over anyway, and she's like spying over the parapet like a weirdo. She's like spying on Mr. Linden, and then she like falls, and she like hurts her ankle, and twists her ankle, and then Mr. Linden comes out, and of course, he sees Margot Robbie, basically a spotlight like shines down on her cleavage, and like she's wearing a low-cut dress, of course, and he's like it's Margot Robbie. She's one of the most beautiful women alive. So of course he's like smitten with her, and he's like, oh, you hurt your little ankle, come on in. And she starts writing to her family at the estate, and she's like, oh, I've been taken in by the this is so weird to me, but again, this is like the 1700s. I'm like, if this happened today. She's there for 6 weeks. She's there for 6 weeks because she needs to heal her ankle or whatever. He feels bad because she tripped over his cobblestones or whatever, and so she's like nursing her sprained ankle. I'm like, how long does that take? Like realistically, come on. And they're like, well, she can't walk on it. Like she has to stay here. I'm like, can't you call her an Uber? And not call her an Uber, but can you call her like a carriage or something? Like she has to stay there for 6 weeks. If that happened today. Like if I like tripped and fell down on somebody's porch and broke my leg or something, like at best I could see the guy coming out and be like, all right, like you can stay the night, like we'll figure out like your Uber or something, but you have to be out of here tomorrow, like we'll drive you to the hospital or something. But like imagine like stretching that out and like, oh, I just live here now. I just live here for like the next month. I just live here for the next 6 weeks. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. But that's what happens. And so she ingratiates herself into the family like she wanted. She's very manipulative. And yeah, so now Linden wants to marry her, of course. And then she comes home and she sees Heathclif and he's all distraught. And she like, I just hate her so much. She's like, she comes over and she's like, oh, Heathclif, I couldn't help but notice you didn't come over to receive me yet, or whatever, and he's like, I can't believe you didn't come say hello yet, and he's like, hello, or, if that's all, I have to get back to work, and she's like, no, that's not all. she's all like, I mean, why is she even bothering him? She obviously wants to marry the other guy at this point, so why is she like giving this guy a hard time? Like, he's obviously conflicted with his feelings for her, but she's one of those people. She wants it all. She wants both. She wants both men. She can't decide, so she wants both men. So she wants Heathclif in her orbit. That's what it is. She doesn't want to marry him because it would look bad for the neighbors or whatever. But she wants him around. Like she still wants him to like wait on her she wants everyone to wait on her. Like that was her dream come true when she sprained her ankle. Holy shit! She got to put on like a little feathered pillow for crying out loud. But yeah, she's like very upset that he's not like as doting on her as he normally is, or I don't care. I don't care about this. Okay. Well, I gotta get through this plot. Let's go. So, well, okay. Let me mention this. let me backtrack. So, again, this movie's very, very inappropriate for many audiences. Again, you really got to know your wife. You really got to know your partner, whether they can handle certain things. And I don't think this is a date movie. But yeah, so after the BDSM stable scene, I forgot about this. So the next day, Margot Robbie's watching someone make breakfast, or like they're kneading the dough or something. There's a lot of weird like food sex stuff in this movie, but like she's like kneading the dough, and like the way she's like slapping the dough and like like putting her fingers in it's really turning Margot Robbie on. And so she like gets up and she like runs to the cliffside, and what follows is a lengthy scene that was very uncomfortable for all of us involved. I'm just gonna say, you know what teenage boys are wont to do in their room when no one's around, when they're looking at a poster of Megan Fox or whatever. So Margot Robbie starts to do that. She starts to really furiously, aggressively, play the DJ disc, if you know what I'm saying. She's really going at it, and we're all kind of like looking around, and we're all in the audience. We're all kind of like, oh, this is happening. This isn't something you normally see in a mainstream Hollywood movie. Oh, okay. And I don't know if this is true. I'm imagining the scenario where dad like mom brought dad along, and mom is horrified, but dad's been like sleeping the whole movie because it's so fucking boring. But then Margot Robbie is playing the DJ diddle down there, and like his eyes like shoot open. He's like, oh hey, and he sees her low hanging dress. He's like, oh whoa, is this movie on streaming yet? What is this movie again? Like let's watch this at home on. And she like slaps, and the wife slaps him. I just made all that up, but I imagine that happened somewhere in my theater. That interaction took place. But yeah, Heathclif runs over to find her, doing that, and she's all embarrassed. And he's like, no, like let's keep it going, and he tries to kiss her, but she rebuffs him because their love is so forbidden. It can never be. It's not really forbidden. It's not really forbidden. Like Romeo and Juliet at least came from two warring houses. Like their romance could like start like a literal war. So it's like they had kind of more of a conflict of interest. I mean, I really don't think, like, do you think the neighbors would really care if you were banging the stable boy? Like, do you really think that, like your house isn't really much to speak of it? Like they aren't really nobles anymore. Like the father has gambled away all of their money. The Wuthering Heights is a dumpster fire. It's a fucking trash fire at this point. Like, again, when the Lindens arrive in town, I'm sure Mr. Linden did send out correspondence to all of the real nobles. Like, I'm sure he sent out his letters, and they didn't receive one. What does that tell you? Like, they aren't nobles anymore. Like, no one really looks at them. This whole thing is bullshit, okay? This whole thing, where she was so worried about her romance with Heathclif and how it would ruin her reputation in high society. She's not a member of high society anymore, okay? No one cares. No one fucking cares. Just bang the stable boy. Get it out of your system, for God's sakes. Don't ruin everyone's lives over this shit. Anyway, she proceeds to ruin everyone's lives over this shit. So yeah, she can't decide. There's a really important scene where she's talking to Nelly about this, okay? And she's like, I either have to marry him or I have to marry Heathclif. And I can't marry Heathclif because he's a poor boy and, he's a stable boy. And what would the neighbors think? And, it would ruin my reputation. What's really important about the scene is Nelly does something, and people give her so much shit for this later. It's like kind of a bitch move. It's kind of a bitch move, but there's a reason for it. I'll get to that in a second. But okay, fine. So Heathclif is listening in. He's listening in on their conversation, and Nelly notices it. And she could have stopped Margot Robbie from talking, but she doesn't, and she like lets her continue. That's all she does. She really didn't do anything. She noticed Heathclif was there, and she didn't warn Margot Robbie. That's all. She just didn't stop her from talking. Apparently, that's a fucking crime. Inaction is a crime now, apparently. But so Heathclif hears the whole thing about like, she can't marry me because I'm a poor boy. So he gets on his horse and he rides off into the sunset. And the key thing is he didn't hear the next part where she was like, I do love him and we are soulmates and I do think we're destined to be together, but I need to marry Linden for the richness, for the status, for the money. So like he missed that key part. He only heard the part about how she knows he loves her, but she can't marry him because he's poor. That's the only part he heard, and Nelly let it happen. So now the movie wants us to think that she's a bitch. First of all, her crime isn't that bad. First of all, Margot Robbie's character has been nothing but a bitch this whole time. So like she doesn't deserve happiness anyway, in my opinion. So like I don't fault Nelly at all. But what's really important here, in the same scene, context is what's important. Context is key. I'm going on too long. I don't care. This movie sucked. I need to talk about it. In this movie, in this scene, right beforehand, Margot Robbie went off on this whole tirade for no reason, where she was like bitching at Nelly and saying how like, you wouldn't understand, Nelly. You don't have any men in your life. You don't have anyone that like loves you or wants to marry you. Like everyone hates you, Nelly. Like you would never understand the choice I need to make. You'll never have a husband anyway. Like no one would love you. She literally says shit like that to her. And Nelly doesn't say a word back. She just, she's pissed obviously, but she doesn't say a word back. She keeps her composure. She keeps her demeanor the whole time, which is why I like Nelly. I think she's a great character. I really, felt bad for her. I didn't feel bad for anyone else in this movie. I felt bad for Nelly. I felt a little bit bad for Heathclif because of the way that Margot Robbie spurned him, but we'll get back to that. He's also a bad person. We'll get back to that. But yeah, Nelly kept her composure. That was her little tiny revenge. Is she just let her keep talking, and Heathclif heard, and he ran away. But I mean, what damage did she really do? She had already made up her mind. She was already going to marry Linden anyway, right? So like, I don't know. Anyway, Heathclif disappears for 5 fucking years. Where did he go? Who knows? We never find out. In fact, Margot Robbie marries Linden. They start their life together, and then 5 years later, Heathclif shows up. He's all hot now. He shaved his beard. He's dressed like a noble. He's rich now. And Margot Robbie's eyes light up. She's like, "Oh my god, he's hot and he's rich now. Oh my god, like he's the perfect husband for me." Too bad she's now married to Lyndon and also carrying his child. Ugh, bad timing's a bitch, isn't it? But yeah, they're at like dinner together, and she's like, "Oh, Heathclif, like where have you been? Like, tell us what you've been up to. How did you get rich all of a sudden?" And he's being coy about it, and he's like, "I don't know. I might make you wrestle it out of me." And then she doesn't want to she's like, "I don't want to play your games right now," and she like sips her tea. And like I was so pissed off because like that was like the one I like never cared about anything going on in the movie. That was like the one genuine mystery to me. You never find out. We never go back to it. How did he get his money? How did he become rich? He later buys. It's not an act. I was like considering, is he just like putting on an act? Like he's just pretending to be rich and hoping no one calls him out on it? Because he goes back to Wuthering Heights. But I'm like, no. He buys Wuthering Heights. He is rich now. He is like a noble now. But I don't know. I don't know how. Like, I remember in The Great Gatsby, like Gatsby made his money from like selling alcohol and speakeasies during the Prohibition era or something like that, right? Like he came from nothing too, but he like sold alcohol or something. So I imagine Heathclif did something like the 1700s version of that, whatever that would be. But I don't know what Heathclif did. And we never find out. Like that's actually really annoying. And then they kind of suggest like, "Oh, were you like a pirate at one point?" And he kind of like smiles and chuckles. And I'm like, that would have been an interesting movie also, like if he was like a pirate or something. But like we don't get to see that even for like a scene. That would have been a much more interesting movie. He's just rich now, just accept it. And so this is all like his master plan, his all master, like Jay Gatsby. I'll say this. So comparing the two, Jay Gatsby became rich. He became the kind of man that Daisy always wanted. And it wasn't like a cruel revenge thing. Like he legitimately wanted to marry her. And so he was trying to seduce her from her husband and marry her himself. Heathclif's whole thing is literally, it's just revenge. It's just mean-spirited. He just wants to make her life hell. He just wants his spiteful revenge. It's purely out of spite. He came back to like kind of lord it over her face and like, "See, I could have been that man too, but now you can't have me. Can you, bitch?" And it is kind of like I kind of like that side of him, but like there's a far darker, more disturbing side to him that I'll get into in a little bit. But like he's not a good person either. No one's a good person. Everyone sucks except Nelly. I love it. Stay true, queen. I love Nelly. So what is it? Okay, I have to mention. So there was like another weird situation that's not really explained very well. But Lord Lyndon, he lived with this other girl, Isabella, but they never married or nothing. They weren't related, but they never married either. And it was another similar, like they briefly talk about it where like he's just kind of watching over her. It's like a brother-sister thing, kind of, which is what Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi were supposed to be, but and they never say it, but I'm pretty sure we're implying that she is mentally challenged. She's mentally slow. There's something wrong with her, okay? She's an adult woman, but she acts like a child. She acts like she's 5 years old. She literally still plays with like little dollies in her dollhouse and shit. And that's what makes later scenes very, very disturbing. And that's why I really can't say Heathclif is very likable either. He does some pretty reprehensible things to a character who is at least childlike or very naive and just, undeserving of what happens to her. And he just kind of, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. I mean, both of them are monsters, both him and Catherine. They will hurt anyone. They don't care who gets hurt in their little chess match between the two of them. They're both so spiteful that they can't be together. So they'll just do whatever they want to other people to like involve them in this grand chess game. Anyway, but yeah, Isabella sees Heathclif and she's smitten instantly because he's Jacob Elordi from Euphoria. And now he's rich and now he's hot. Like now he shaved his beard and he has like a nice little earring and everything and a gold tooth. But yeah. So she's interested, and Cathy gets jealous and she's like, oh, and she doesn't even really have a good reason. She's just like, oh no, you should stay away from him. He's not a good fit for you. And Isabella, to her credit, she kind of calls her out. She's like, what did she say? She calls her like the dog in the manger or something. I had to like look up that term, but she calls her like something like the dog in the manger, and like Cathy freaks out. That's like the 1700s version of the word cunt, I think, where like she just like flips out. She's like, what did you just call me? Never call me that again. I will end you if you call me that again. But she's like, you're just the dog in the manger. Like you want Heathclif for yourself, but you can't have him, so you won't let anyone else have him. And by the way, that is 100% true. That is exactly what is going on here, and that's how, unfortunately, a lot of women are. But they might not be able to be with a guy, but they also don't want anyone else to be near him. That was like the whole weird thing in Twilight, if you remember that, where Bella was with Edward, but she also liked Jacob, or kept him in her orbit, and she wouldn't allow him to be with other women because she'd get jealous, and it was like, what is going on? Anyway. But and then of course Heathclif notices that Isabella is smitten with him, so he plays that up because he knows it's purely to make Catherine jealous, to make Cathy jealous. Actually, let me also mention, this is a fun detail. Like this, the movie briefly went in a different direction. Where if they had like gone further with this, I probably would have liked it. If this had been like a horror movie or like a cautionary tale, right? So like Cathy, she wanted the riches and fame. She wanted to marry a lord, right? That's all she wanted. So she threw away her true love, Heathclif, to marry Lord Linton. And then she gets there, and it's not what she expected, right? It turns out to be kind of a horror show. So here are things that happen in the movie. Isabella is weird. She, makes her play with her dollhouse, right? And she has a doll of Cathy with real human hair. And Cathy's playing with it. And she's like, "Oh, is that real hair?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've been plucking it from your brush, while you weren't looking. And so I made it from your own real hair to make it more like you." That's a pretty creepy thing to, I'm already like, run Cathy. But the other thing is when they give her room when she starts living there, and the husband's like, "Oh yeah, I designed the walls to replicate your skin. Like look, this this wall has your dimple, so think of it as your cheek." And I'm like, run girl, run. And like, so and she like just takes that with stride. She's not really like creeped out at all by these little details. And I'm like, and that's it. Like, it never goes further with any of that. And she just, like, she really does have a good life there. And so I was like, oh, like, I thought that was a missed opportunity. I know that's not in the book, but like, fuck. I mean, none of this shit. Like, I'm pretty sure the BDSM scenes aren't in the book. So like, just if we're changing stuff anyway, let's make it a good movie. Like, let's turn it into a thriller. But like, that would have been cool. Where like, she's like, now she's trapped. Now she's trapped in this house and she can't get out because she thought she wanted this. But it turns out, like, riches aren't everything, right? Now you just married into a psychopathic family. Now you can't go anywhere. You're locked in this castle. Literally, you're locked in. You're having his baby. Like, you're married, and marriage was like, it's not like it is nowadays. I mean, not to say that divorce isn't still a very painful, complicated process. I know it is, but back in the day, it was like a whole different. Like, it was impossible. In that time, like you basically had to be a widow to remarry. Like your husband had to die. Okay, you could not end a marriage. Basically, you know what I mean? It was a very different time. So like, once you're locked in, you're locked in. You're fucking locked in. So she's locked into the Linden family, and that could have been a good horror movie. But they don't really go further with those elements. So why are they there at all? I have to ask the question. Why are they there at all? Why'd you get my hopes up? Anyway, so she's married to the Linden family, and there's a montage where she's just bored, and like, it turns out exactly how you thought it would, where she's just like, she thought she wanted it, but she really loved Heathclif, so now she's regretting it, but it's too late, you made your decision, right? She's just sitting there, and her husband, to his credit, he's not an idiot. Like, he notices, he comments, he's like, "Oh, my dear, like, is everything all right? You've been staring out the window for 45 minutes. Are you enjoying your tea?" And she's like, "Oh, yes, I've just been lost in the clouds, tee-hee-hee," She's very unhappy, but nothing will ever make her happy. Nothing will ever make her happy outside of, like, the perfect man, which is, now that's what Jacob Elordi is, so she wants him now. Yeah, so she should have just kind of let things be, right? But because she can't ever be happy, she's like, "Oh, well, it'll be, even though I'm married and even though I'm having this guy's baby, it's okay if I sneak around with Jacob Elordi and we just start banging behind his back. Like, that's okay, right?" So they proceed to do that many times. And Nelly knows about it. Nelly knows the whole thing, but she's actually pretty good to her. She like doesn't sell her out, which she totally could have. Especially, again, Cathy treats Nelly like shit, but Nelly puts up with it for some reason. Like, I mean, I guess she doesn't have a choice. She doesn't have any other job to go to. But yeah, whatchamacallit. So Isabella. Okay, yeah, that's jumping a little bit ahead. Okay, so what happens? So somehow it gets out that I think what happened was Jacob Elordi I think what happens is Jacob Elordi tells Margaret Robbie that Nelly was there, like that he was there, and that Nelly knew he was there the night that she told him to, like, screw off, like, you're poor, I can't marry you. So they completely place the blame all on Nelly, and so Margot Robbie confronts Nelly and freaks out at her, and she's like, you knew he was listening. I wasn't even going to marry Mr. Linden, which is not true. That's not true. But she's like, I wasn't going to marry Mr. Linden. You took that choice away from me because you let Jacob Elordi here and you let him ride off into the sunset. And because of that, I was forced to marry Linden because I was planning to, even though I had announced my engagement, I was planning to unannounce it the next day, but I couldn't because he ran off. I mean, you still could have, you didn't have to marry him, right? There were more than two options. You could have tried to find a third husband. You could have not gotten married at all. You had plenty of other options, but like you only see it as the two options. So like, yeah, no more Heathclif. So that means you have to marry Mr. Linden. I mean, you didn't. I had to marry. I had to enter that loveless marriage because of you, Nelly. And Nelly's just like, what? And she's like, you're. It's so funny because she's like, you're done. She's like, Cathy's like, you're done. You're banished from this house. Go find a new job. And she's like, you will go tell my husband that you have found a new job elsewhere. And Nelly's like, but I don't have a new job. And she's like, well, you'll go live elsewhere. And she's like, but I don't have anywhere else to live. Where am I supposed to go? And she's like, elsewhere. So she tries to kick Nelly out. And Nelly just turns around. Nelly's a boss. She's such a boss. She goes right to the husband. She's like, so anyway, before your wife kicks me out, I just wanted to, I've been keeping this a secret, but now everything's, cards on the table now. I mean, she's just trying to kick me out for no reason. So, she's been having an affair behind your back. So the husband's like, oh no, you're super hired. You're rehired. You're super hired, Nelly. Continue to report on her ill doings. Like, so I'm like, go Nelly. I mean, yeah, it was kind of a bitch move, but like Cathy deserved it. Like, she was gonna throw her out on the street. Like, are you kidding me? What a bitch. By the way, her father died, I guess of alcohol poisoning or something. I mean, Cathy completely abandoned him. She completely abandoned him. When she got her new life, she just completely let Wuthering Heights go to shit. She like barely ever checked in on him. It's fine. Dad said, again, I mean, he was not a good father, to be fair, but she was also equally not a good daughter and not a good person. So I don't feel bad for any of them. All of them suck. Fuck them. But yeah, Jacob Elordi, he lives there at Wuthering Heights now because he bought the estate with his mystery money, and that's the one thing I want to know. I want to know how he got his mystery money. Somebody tell me. Somebody in the chat tell me what happens in the book. How do you get his mystery money? Was it booze? Was it Prohibition era? This is 1700s. There were no speakeasies in the 1700s. I've been going on too long. I'll wrap this up very soon. Whatchamacallit? So they continue to have their affairs, but it's harder now because Nelly sold her out. And so then she has to break it. Well, she breaks it off with him, then has sex with him again, and then he's like, well, I could just kill. Then again, he is not a good person either. But he's like, I could just kill your husband, and then that would be fine, and then that would be that. And she's like, she considers it. She's like, no, like I can't. I'm with his child, and he's like, oh, you're having his child. That's nice to know. It's like she wasn't gonna tell him. So she like breaks it off for real Z's, and then he storms off, and then she's so distraught she locks herself up in her room, and then out of pure revenge he seduces Isabel. And again, I can't stress it, she's a virgin, she's a child, and he talks to her, and he like, it's like the 50 Shades of Grey contract. He lists all of these things. He's like, here's what's gonna happen. I know you like me, and I don't like you, and I'm only doing this to get back at Catherine. But we will have sex, but it will be loveless, and I will treat you like an animal, and it will be this BDSM relation. And she's like, and she just keeps nodding her head. He's like, do you understand the terms of our agreement? And she's like, yes. Oh my God, yes. I've seen every season of Euphoria. Oh my God, yes. Ravage me. But yeah, he marries Isabella just purely out of spite. This is what this is. These two relationships are just built on spite at this point. It's really uncomfortable and boring and annoying to watch. But yeah, he marries Isabella, completely treats her like shit. This is where the BDSM elements unfortunately come back into play, and it's really awkward now because again, she's mentally like 5 years old, and so he really mistreats her, and he's like, and they're bringing back the pet thing, like how he was her pet. So now he's like, Isabella, now you're my pet. And what is that? So he's like having her write all of these letters about about how he's mistreating her, and she's like sending them to Cathy because he wants Cathy to have. It's just to get a reaction, it's just to provoke her because he wants her to come visit. But Nelly, doing her due diligence, who somehow still has a job, she's like intercepting the letters, and she's like, "Oh, well, I can't let the missus see this because I can't let this affair continue. That's my job." She's doing her job. So he just keeps on doing more and more, outlandish things to Isabella. And that's another stupid part where he's like, well, we have to. She's like writing the letter. He's like, well, we have to do it for real, or else it didn't really happen. Like, otherwise you can't put it down in the letter. And she's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, you could just lie, just say whatever in the letter. You don't have to do it for real. Like, whatever. She's naive. She just goes along with it. But like, he's a monster. He's a bastard. So eventually things get to a point where he wants her to come. He wants Cathy to visit. Nelly comes visit, and is horrified because he is keeping Isabella chained to the wall like a literal dog collar, and he throws food on the ground, and he has her bark like a dog and clap, and he has her eat food off the ground. She's like licking food off the ground with her tongue, and that's actually in the trailer. That's what that scene is. That looks so random in the trailer. It is pretty random, but Nelly of course is horrified. And he's basically saying, like, make sure you tell Cathy all about this. And she's like, I will not tell the missus about any of this. I will take Isabella home with me, though, because you are mistreating her. Again, Nelly's a good person. She's just a good person. She's the only likable person in this movie. Yeah, I mean, it's so long. I'm gonna wrap this up now, but basically, the last thing you need to know is, so the dog scene where she's looking food off the ground. Anyone still want to say that this is a date movie? No? Show of hands? No? Okay. We'll get to the next important part. So, remember she was with child, right? So she's in her room, starving herself, crying all day, and Nelly keeps checking in on her. And here's the thing. And this has been established throughout the whole movie. This is why I don't fault Nelly. I don't fault Nelly at all. But what's the term? Hypochondriac? Like, this bitch, okay? Cathy is the type of person who could get a paper cut and she'd be like, oh my god, I'm dying, I have a severe cut, I have a severe wound, tend to me, Nelly. That's how she is, okay? That's how she's been the whole movie. So, and she's constantly in her room saying, I'm dying, Nelly, I'm dying, I'm going to lose the baby, I've lost the baby. And Nelly will like check under the covers and everything's fine. And she's like, no, you haven't lost the baby, shut up, stop crying over nothing, just accept your husband, accept that he has a new wife, it's over. She can't, so she keeps on, applying the melodramatics, but she really does lose the baby. And she, tells Nelly, but again, it's the same kind of crying, like, oh my god, I'm dying, I've lost the baby, and Nelly doesn't check. She doesn't bother to check, because it's the 100th fucking time she's heard that day, okay? But she really did lose the baby, and she was left in her room after, having the miscarriage, and she's now dying of sepsis, okay? They undo the covers, her legs are all fucked up, she's had sepsis, okay? Show of hands, date movie, ready to bring your girlfriend, ready to bring your wife to see this movie and see Margot Robbie's miscarriage and her sepsis infected legs, right? Anyone? Okay, so and then Emerald Fennell is nothing but subtle. They really like undo the covers. The husband comes in and like it's just like a geyser of blood that fills the room. I'm not kidding. Like there is so much blood just coming from the bed, from between her legs. Show of hands, date movie, good date movie, date night, going to see Wuthering Heights? Okay. And then the husband and Margot Robbie both turn on Nelly. They're like, how could you let this happen to her? This was your revenge for her treating you like shit, wasn't it, Nelly? Like even the husband turns on her. He's like, oh, I suppose you were only too happy to let this happen to her. She's like, what? And Margot was like, I warned you. I tried to tell you I had a miscarriage. And she's like, but you say that every day. Like, this is the one time I didn't check. It wasn't her fault. My God, they put that miscarriage on Nelly. And the worst part is like, Margot Robbie like holds her. She dies from this. By the way, she dies, but she's holding Nelly's hand. She's like, I want you to know I forgive you. I forgive you for letting Jacob Elordi hear that night what I said. And I forgive you for letting me make the wrong decision about who I married. And I forgive you for letting me have that miscarriage. None of those things were her fault. But Nelly's like crying. She's like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank you. Thank you for forgiving me, my mistress. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's like the image we end on is Margot Robbie's dead body after having a miscarriage. Oh, Jacob Elordi like comes riding in. He hears that she's dead, of course, and it's too late. And she runs into the room. He starts kissing her face. And I'm like, I went to a weird spot where I'm like, this movie's been so fucked up already. I'm like, because he's really like passionately kissing her. I'm like, is he just gonna like, are they gonna bang? Is he gonna bang her after she's dead? Like, it's an Emerald Fennel movie. Like, honestly, if you'd seen Saltburn like I have, you wouldn't think that's like outside the realm of possibilities. You would like be thinking the same fucking thoughts that I was having. Anyway, that does not happen. He stops with first base. Okay, he stops it there with the dead body. Yeah, and then that's it. Credits. Miserable movie, depressing movie. Everyone's lives were ruined by this woman just because she couldn't decide who to marry. Wow, woe is me. Oh no, do I marry the rich guy who I don't really like, or do I marry the poor stable boy who's hot? You know, decisions. Whatever shall I do? Maybe I can try to have them both. You know, that always works out well for people, right? Oh no, I ruined everyone's lives. Tee-hee, the end. You know, I even tried to ruin Nelly's life for literally no reason because she mildly spurned me one time. Absolute disaster. I'm glad she's dead. I'm sorry. I'm glad she's dead. She would have made a horrible mom. I'm glad she didn't have that kid. I'm sorry. That's fucked up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fictional character. I'm sorry, Margot Robbie. But she would have made a terrible mom. I mean, imagine bringing a child into this world, into that like drama. Imagine bringing a child into all of that where the parents are fighting and the mom's banging the stable boy and like all, you know, everything is awful. Like, you know, imagine that. No. This was a horrible family. I apologize. I've gone on as long as the movie. I'm going to end it there. But yeah, I'll try and think of another romantic dumpster fire to talk about in the next video.